Previously on the pole barn build, we started off by taking out the grass. Because it was early spring, the building went up before the grading. Then came the day of the build. The crew showed up, but the weather was crazy. The crew worked fast and got it up in 3 days. After it was up, our first hiccup was you can actually see how bad the grade was and how much fill we needed to bring in. On this corner, the building is at 0. As you work around, you can see how it's more daylight, so the grade kind of goes downhill. And this is the worst corner. This is 27 inches to the bottom of the grade board here. We got to fill all that up. We're gonna have to build a ramp to come into the building. It took over 100 yards of fill and all day with a roller packer to get it close to grade. To save money, we prepped the grade. It's a lot of extra work, but the more time you spend on the grade, the less money you have to spend on concrete because you can be more accurate. Here, Jamie's wetting it down as I compact it with the compactor, and then Jamie did the other half while I was packing in between the posts. We hired a friend from work, and John brought his concrete crew over. To knock out the slab. Now it's time to pick up where we left off. From this point forward, we had to do everything ourselves to save some money. We had another hiccup. We ordered the garage doors from a big box store, and they were supposed to show up in June. We ordered them back in February. We got an email stating that it wasn't going to show up until July. While I was looking at the paperwork, I realized they weren't wind code rated. And I specifically asked for wind code rating. So because of that, we had to cancel the order. And we ended up buying locally. The good thing about the local company is they installed it, so I didn't have to deal with that part. But that wasn't going to show up until about the end of August. Although we had a great start, things had to slow down when we couldn't get the garage doors right away. Now it's at the end of August, so we have to get the building done before winter. We started off with the electrical. Well, we got our hole marked out. I hope I'm in the right spot. Don't forget to use a center punch first. It's right on a rib, so. And try not to use your center punch and go completely through. Well, here goes nothing. Just something about making holes in a brand new building. Wow. Got to do it. This is a 3-inch bit, by the way. The meter I'm installing in the video is the wrong type. We needed a bypass meter. If you're running power from your main panel, you don't need this part. But in our case, the main panel for the house was on the other side of the house, and the transformer at the street already had 3 houses connected to it. We had to purchase a transformer from the power company and have them install it. I'm gonna dry fit this, so I'm gonna temporarily hang the meter box. That way I can cut all the conduit to size before I glue everything. 2.5 inch. And there'll be a bushing on here. Kind of sounds like a donkey. Then it came time to wire my part up. At this point I had no power still. It took 3 weeks for the power company to bring in the transformer. After the fact, I found out from the inspector that they don't allow 2-aught copper from the meter socket to the main panel. It had to be 3-aught. But if you had 4-aught aluminum, that still stays the same. Also, as of this video, we're complying with the National Electric Code of 2020. So from what I understand, the inspector told me all the receptacles, even your welding plugs, your 240, your 110, 120, all that has to be a GFI. The inspector had me install the arc fault protection for the lighting and tamper resistant receptacles for anything under 5.5 feet. I am not an electrician, and I'm not sure if the inspector was just giving me a hard time because I was doing it myself. Check with your local power company and your local inspector. It could be different in your area too. So next we had to put in the gas line. We ran it from the meter that's on the outside of the house to the side of the building. Let's check out the trench from the inside. And 90 feet later, I tried to use the tractor with the Titan stump bucket, but with my first scoop, I already hit sprinkler lines. After hitting the sprinklers and realizing that the trench was pretty close to a drain field line, so I decided it would be easier just to shovel it by hand. We live in sand country, so it's not that hard to dig, but it was 90 feet of trench. We used HomeFlex yellow poly line for the gas line, 3/4, from the house meter to the building. From that point on, we used black pipe through the wall and up the wall to the heater. And use dope, tape, dope when you put the pipes together, because you'll have to do it again. The heater we chose to go with is a 50-foot long radiant tube heater with 175 BTUs, and it works great. The installation was heavy and time consuming, and this is how we did it. Basically, we're going to use this 2x4 and we're going to mount the insulation with these strips of wood and hang it like a curtain in between the poles. Jamie helps by pushing down so I could feel where the wood's at, and I can line up the screws so I don't miss. And then the corners have to be cut out so they don't overlap the pole and keep the 2x4 away from the pole when I go to nail it. Here we're going to use the scaffolding, and we're going to pull it up so we can get it up to the height we need. I don't recommend this. This is just showing how we did it. I would recommend renting a scissor lift. That way you can just roll it up and lift it up with that. But this is just something we came up with so that we could save some money. Here Jamie is stacking the insulation in between so that we can get it rolled over to the wall where we're going to actually install it. Now that we're up against the wall, Jamie sets the brake, and I use the hook in between the insulation to lift it up and set it up against the posts. It's hard to see, but Jamie's got a pole on the other side to hold the 2x4 while I'm working on one end. And then after I nail it, I work my way over there, and then she pulls the pole out of the way, and then I nail that end. Jamie spins the pole to kill some time. Now that it's secure, Jamie's gonna unstack the insulation, and then I'm cutting the wood to put in to hold the insulation against the wall, making sure that the bottom board is a 1/2 inch off the ground. Now we're up in the attic, and I'm gonna use this piece of wood to mark all the trusses at 13 inches, and that's where I'm gonna fill it up with blown in insulation. Jamie and Angelo is gonna feed the machine. This is our setup. I got it tied here to the truss, and we're gonna fill up back over there. The nice thing about blowing in insulation is I can always add more. I'm starting at 13 inches this year. I'm gonna see how it goes. We had a lot of cutoffs and leftover insulation, so I decided to put it towards the middle of the building so I can eventually make storage and bring some plywood up here and make a floor. We ended up getting 20 bags. We could have probably used 30, but like I said, I can always add more. It's already been pretty expensive so far, so I'm just going to use the 20 bags this year and then maybe add another 10 next year. If you order 10 bags from Home Depot, you can get the machine for free, so you don't have to rent it again. Jamie and Angelo kept the machine full, and this part didn't really take that long. I'd say this is the easiest part of the installation. I would definitely have somebody downstairs filling up the machine. I can't imagine going up and down. This is a 2-person operation for sure.
So on this, you have to cut the bags in half, otherwise they won't fit in the machine. And then there's a blade in here that's going to put in. It cuts the bag for you. And then the paddle's inside. Break it up so it's loose. Angelo's getting ready to cut his bags open.
After we were done putting up the insulation, we put up the plastic, and this is how it turned out. We installed the plastic using these white caps and roofing nails. Then came making a storage rack. I made it half for pallets and half for just regular shelves on the top. And there's still room to add more shelving in between. Here I'm measuring how high the forks can go. Using the posts that were left over when I moved the red shed, I made my mark and notched the post. This has got to be the most annoying sound. I use 1/2 inch carriage bolts to secure the 2x6 to the posts. This 2x6 is going to be mounted to the posts of the building on the wall. This front piece is actually a 2x8, and that's getting hammered in tight, and I'll have a piece in the middle to brace it. And then again with the 2x6 at the top, and then I'm going to run my 1/2 inch carriage bolts through both the post and the front piece on all the connections. This is the finished product. I already got a bunch of junk on it. If you'd like to see more on the pole barn build, I'll put a playlist up right here. Thanks for checking out the video, and keep it on the sunny side.